Hello everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne, I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about Azdel versus Luan in RV construction. Now, I made a video recently about how RVs are made. I'll put a link to it in this video description and in the podcast description. It was a good video to lay a basis or foundation for what we're going to talk about today, because it explained how that many RV manufacturers are using laminated wall building methods for their RVs these days. And here's what that means. As you can see here, there's a fiberglass panel on the outside. It has a substrate that gives it rigidity behind it. Then there's the frame for the wall, and in between the frame supports is insulation, and then on the other side of the frame is the interior wall. Now all of that is glued together first, then it's run through a pinch roller or it's vacuum bonded, and what comes out of that is one big solid RV wall. There's no sections to it. Now, for years, the substrate that I mentioned for the fiberglass outside panel, that support for it, it's been made out of Luan. Well, what is Luan anyway? You probably heard the term, but what is it? It's just simply an 1/8 to 1/4 inch plywood board that's very strong, but very light. And so it's a very good RV construction material. However, it has one big drawback, and that is that water can penetrate in the RV, and if it does, then Luan can begin to break apart. It can delaminate away from that exterior wall, and it can even rot inside if the water intrusion goes on long enough. Now, how do you spot delamination? Well, if you go down to the end of an RV and you look down the wall there, if you see some blisters or areas where the fiberglass seems to poke out away from the wall, that's delamination, and that's what we really want to avoid. Now, since 2006, Azdel has begun to be used in the industry, in many cases instead of Luan on these outside walls, to prevent delamination. Azdel started out being used just a little bit, but it's progressively being used by more and more manufacturers. And the question is, well, what is Azdel? Azdel is actually a composite sheet of material. It's man-made, and it is impervious to water or humidity. You can take Azdel and just submerge it in water for months, and it'll look just fine when it comes out. It can't rot. So, does that mean that Azdel then solves all RV water issues? Well, the reason I want to make this video and this podcast is I see lots of comments on the internet from RV buyers that think that's the case. They refuse to buy an RV that has Luan in the walls because they feel that's vastly inferior and they're setting themselves up for water problems then. In fact, even if they like everything else about an RV, even if the manufacturer's very well known as a quality manufacturer, they're still not going to buy that RV if it has Luan in the walls. Well, my friends, the reason for this is RV marketing people do a great job, as marketing people do in almost every industry, of trying to make you see all the good things about something and not necessarily any of the bad things, or all the good things and don't give you the whole story about the other things as well that apply. So if you listen to the marketing people, it sounds like Azdel in the walls is going to be your solution for water problems. However, let me make this point very clear. Azdel in exterior walls alone will not make your RV waterproof, and it will not solve all of your water intrusion issues. Why? Because even the RVs that use Azdel in the sidewalls, many of them, in fact, the vast majority of them, use a lot of wood elsewhere in the RV, in the roof, in the ceilings, in the floors, in the interior walls, and so on. Now, if water gets in, it's true that if it goes down those walls, it may not delaminate that substrate from the fiberglass panel like Luan would. But major damage will still happen in that RV wherever wood is being used. You see, water doesn't care if Azdel is in your RV or not. Water just follows gravity. And most RV leaks actually begin from the roof. Secondly, followed by windows. Now, if you have a water leak that starts to come in from the roof and the water follows gravity, well, it can ruin the roof supports, the ceiling. It can go down the sidewalls. Azdel can prevent the delamination, but it can then go to the floor and ruin the floor as well and your interior walls. So you see, the real issue that we have here in RVs is not just delamination. The real issue here is water intrusion and RV joint and seam maintenance and care. Now, this is nothing that RV marketing people are going to tell you. They're not going to talk to you about maintaining your RV, or that even if it has Azdel in the sidewalls, you've got to watch those joints and seams and so on. No marketing people are going to inform you of that. But here is the honest truth. There have been many thousands of very good RVs made in decades gone by with Luan and wood construction, and they're all still just fine as long as the joints, the seams, and the windows are sealed properly with proper sealant. So if you plan on maintaining your RV, in other words, you're going to buy an RV and not be one of those people who just doesn't ever do anything to it, you're going to actually try to maintain it and stay up with it, then here's the honest truth. Either Azdel or Luan will work just fine in the sidewalls or anywhere else. It'll be just fine. Now, and if you don't plan on maintaining your RV, you're just going to go on camping trips and run around with it, and that's the end of your involvement with that RV, well, then you could have a lot worse problems than just delamination. Remember, we talked about how water follows gravity. So you could be replacing that roof, you could be replacing flooring, replacing interior walls, and all of that is very expensive. Yes, your exterior walls could still be laminated, but all of this other damage can be taking place inside your RV if you are not going to care for the joints and the seams of that RV as an RV owner. Now, let me repeat this for all of the Azdel fans out there. I believe in Azdel. I am a supporter of Azdel. I want to see products like Azdel, if not Azdel itself, being used all through the RV, in the roof, in the flooring, and the walls inside. More and more inorganic products being used in RV construction can only be a good thing. However, choosing an RV these days solely on whether it has Azdel in the sidewalls, it doesn't match reality, my friends. Instead, just commit to maintaining your RV. to doing the work that needs to be done to keep water out and not allow water intrusion into your RV. If you do, your RV will last for years. It'll give you great service during that time, whether it has Azdel or Luan in the side walls. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.